Драги гледачи, еве го и првиот дел од разговорот со Линда Ваноф од Холивуд, Калифорнија. Им благодариме на сите спонзори, чии имиња ги гледате на вашите екрани, за нивната несебична поддршка за реализирањето на овој потвор.
The Macedonian Heritage Hour is on location in West Hollywood, California, with our videographer Nestor Castro and the lovely and talented Linda Vanoff. Linda Vanoff is of Macedonian heritage and is an American portrait photographer. Her work has been featured in several publications, including Entertainment Weekly, People, Cosmopolitan, 17, Venice, and Latin Style. Advertising clients include Disney, PBS, Target, Simon & Schuster, Avanti Press, and Amnesty International. Linda Vanoff is a member of the famed Vanoff entertainment family. Her uncle Nick Vanoff was a television producer who's best known for creating the shows The Hollywood Palace and the Kennedy Center Honors, as well as producing the Tony Award Broadway musical City of Angels. In the late 70s, Nick and Linda's father, Boris Vanoff, bought Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California. Linda, it's such a great honor to speak with you today.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. It's an honor to have you in my home, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with the Macedonian community about my family because I'm very proud of it.
That is fantastic. Now, we're here to learn about your achievements, which are many, as I just mentioned, but also about the achievements of your uncle Nick Vanoff, who is renowned as a producer throughout Hollywood and throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. Tell us about Nick Vanoff.
Well, my memories of my uncle, he was Uncle Nick or Uncle Nicky when I was a young girl, and my memories centered mostly around holidays. We would go to his house for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, As I got older, I worked for him at Sunset Gower Studios as a production secretary, receptionist. I worked actually on a few of his television shows. When I was in high school, I was an extra on the Perry Como Christmas special. When I was a young girl, actually when I was 10 years old, I made my television debut on the Hollywood Palace. Bing Crosby was the host. And all the children whose families worked on the show had the opportunity to sing along with Bing Crosby, Simple Simon Says. So Bing Crosby, the opening number of the show, was Simple Simon Says, and all of the children whose parents or fathers, mothers worked on the show sang Simple Simon Says with Bing Crosby. So that was actually my first real working experience with my uncle. For me, he was always Uncle Nick or Uncle Nicky, and the patriarch of the family, the oldest son, and left home at a very young age to make his way in show business. My grandparents, being immigrants from Macedonia, started in South Buffalo, or actually the east side of Buffalo. They had a diner, and my dad and my uncle worked at a very young age for my grandfather, Detto, as I called him, working in the restaurant. So my uncle left home when he was 16. As a dancer, he started his career in New York and then made his way up. I guess you would say he worked for Les Crane as an associate producer. He worked on the Steve Allen Show as a producer and then made his way to California, which is why, as a family, we moved out here.
The Vanoff tradition continues with yourself. You're a renowned photographer in California, and as I mentioned, you've been featured in many publications. Do you attribute part of that to your Uncle Nick's influence and his support?
Oh, most definitely. And my uncle died quite young. He was 61 when he died. And there's so many times I wish he was still around, because when I started my photography career, I was an actress for a short time, and then I moved into photography. I always studied it as a child. Well, I started in high school. I had my own darkroom, and I got my first camera when I was a senior in high school. But there's been many times that I've always wanted to talk to him about different things. But being in a show business environment, working in the studio as an actress, having my Uncle Nick as an uncle, and growing up in the Hollywood Palace environment, meeting Sonny and Cher and Bing Crosby and Julie Andrews. My uncle produced that show. He created and produced the Julie Andrews Hour. I had the opportunity to be around a lot of different television stars as well as their children. So most definitely it was an influence on me, most definitely.
Not only that was an influence on you, but your Macedonian heritage. Your
Yes.
Uncle Nick and your dad are from the heritage from the village of Banica,
Yes.
in the Ladin region of Macedonia. And would you say that the fact that Macedonians tend to be very hardworking individuals, very family-oriented, would you say that that was the case in your family as well?
Oh, most definitely. We Macedonians have a very strong work ethic. So as a young girl, I learned a strong work ethic by virtue of the fact that my Uncle Nick was a self-made man. I mean, to come from such humble beginnings and then make his way being a dancer as a teenager all the way up to where he became owning a major studio in Hollywood, it says a lot about who he was. And so most definitely, he had a huge influence on our entire family. Like I said, he was the patriarch of our family and was very generous, helped us. Several of my cousins got their start working for my uncle. My cousin Peter started as a stage manager because of my Uncle Nick. My brother went to USC Film School. I was an actress. I mean, I could go on. My uncle was always there to help anybody in the family. And he was quite generous and quite a, but yet, was firm, had a stern hand in that he expected us. My uncle always said to me, Linda, make it on your own and go the extra mile. That was his motto, go the extra mile. So in saying that to me as a young girl, I always wanted to do that. So when I started as a photographer, my uncle had already passed, and I always felt really good that I did make it on my own, being a photographer, and yet, of course, shooting different celebrities, working in entertainment, I did make it on my own. And that always made me feel very proud. And I always felt that my uncle's influence and growing up with such a strong work ethic really influenced the way I run my business even today, of course, the way I treat my clients, celebrities. You know, he always told me celebrities, movie stars, they're just like us. So it's really been beneficial for me coming from a showbiz family.